Hello, everyone, and a very happy Thursday to all of you, and welcome to your daily lighting critique. So we have some stills to go through. We've got a few videos to go through. We're going to go ahead and, as we usually do, we'll start with those that are on right now. We're going to hop over into the videos first, and let's go ahead and take a look at Aaron's submission. So, Aaron, we have your update to the aces. We've got an RGB version. And we've got the previous version here. Okay. So I am actually liking, I think the Aces version is looking better. I think that's actually working out well. Do you want to talk a little bit about what just why you've got both color spaces going?
I mean, I'm just kind of surprised to hear you say that because I feel like the Aces is not better, but I mean, if you think it's going in the right direction, it's fine. I feel like I lose shaping on the character a little bit. Is this because right now you're looking at sRGB and like I'm having a really hard time keeping the blacks not straight black. Like this whole shadow area in the front it's like 0001. Like it's very, very dark.
When you say you're having trouble with it, like, is it because the amount of light that gets like where is it? Is it just like pushing more light in there is like really, really hard? And I don't know.
It's yeah, kind of. I mean, I guess I could up my bounce, but then I just end up washing out the character. So I suppose what I could do, a bounce just on the environment only. Because even like here, like his eyes are just like, man, they're really stark white compared to like, I feel like that one has better shaping. Like, am I just crazy? Like, am I wrong? Like, I'm fine with being objectively wrong.
No, you're not objectively wrong because this is just so. What I'm seeing when I look at him, between these two versions, like here, he feels a little dusty and grayed out. When I see him here, he feels like his colors, like the colors pop a little bit more. When I'm looking at just the couch, like here, the couch just kind of feels like there's some light kind of coming in from the front, but the shaping is kind of rolling off it here. Although it's darker and it's probably a little too dark, I feel like the shaping is stronger and more robust. I do agree that like these areas down here are too dark. But like I think I don't know. I'll let others chime in too, but I just think that there's more. I think there's more positives than negatives going into the Aces workflow, into the Aces image.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, yeah. I am gonna then if you think it's better, I'll stick with it. But like as I was saying to like Diana, it's like I've been on this shot for 2.5 months. Like I'm kind of ready to like I do want to like eventually move on to a different animation as well. Yeah. So and I think starting a new one with Aces, it'll be just a lot. I think it'll be a lot smoother than this one has been transitioning over. But
do you want?
I agree. I mean, I think there's pros in the Aces one because there always is for interior shots. But I saw him working on it, and it looked like one of those ones where transitioning to Aces meant just changing everything in the setup. And I saw him working on it, and I was like, oh my god, this is too much work. Because he already worked on it for so long, so I support his decision.
No, in that case, I will. Yeah,
it's just like there's sides to it.
No, totally. In that case, I will because there is like you touched upon something that's very important. There is a deadline. Like there is a how do I explain this? There's a maximum you can work on something before you're like I want to move on to the next thing. So. I don't want you because it's a good lesson. Like it'll like I was the same way, right? Like I went back to an old project and I was like, I'm gonna update it to Aces. I felt okay about it, but I was like, I kind of liked what I had before. I'm just gonna stick with that for now. And for the next project, I'm ready to roll with it, right? So I think that's totally justifiable. The only thing that I was because I actually just think that like if you can get his skin color to match more like this, I think you'll be in a good spot. I think the wall color is a little bit better. And I think let's just go with that for now from the Aces version. And then from this version, like I just want to see more bouncy fill on her right here. Because again, she's like in so much like the way that it's exposed for this interior space, that sunlight would be so bright. And then that would kind of like engulf her in that, and then she can walk off from there. And I think that would be. Is
it possible for you to just circle things in this Aces version real quick that you like, that I can try to mimic an sRGB?
Yeah, so this is the sRGB version.
Right.
Let me go back in the Aces. Yeah, so let me see if I can. Let me go to the next ring, so that will go away. So I like the skin tone. Just skin tone. I think the wall color is a little richer. I like comparing the value difference between his, and this is like his skin, the shirt and the pants. I like seeing those distinctly different things. Where in the sRGB they're a little bit closer together in value, like they're,
sure.
And then plant looks. I also like the color of the haze better.
Okay.
And the amount that's kind of going over top of this too.
Yep.
Those are the big ones.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So just to finish this off, I'll just go through Holly's real quick, and I just want to pull up some of her reference. So we've got, and this one just came in. So one of the things about cars is you've got light coming in from either side. It's a little bit of a different lighting setup than you normally would get, because you're inside a space with windows around you, and generally it's all about this light going past you and feeling that motion. So a lot of it is, these are a little bit different, but let's see. So a lot of it is, let's go back to this one. Like their inner core is darker, and then there's more light on the sides of people. Like inner core gets a little darker a little bit. And then depending on what side of the car you sit on, like this guy will generally get more on this side. She'll generally get more on this side. And there'll only be like because you're inside the space and light is just rattling around in there. There'll be a little bit of a difference between the key and fill side. Like if you look at my face right now, there's a pretty big difference between the key and fill side, but inside a car where there's like stuff all around me, it fills it in a little bit more. So that being said, let's look at this.
First of all, you're lucky to have him on the computer.
Just mute it. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing is the lighting is static on the characters, and I want to feel like I forget who did. I think it was Antonio did the one that we saw the other day. Where we were driving through the car, and like you could really see the reflections going past in the windshield. You can feel the light changing as they're going past things and going in and out of pockets of light. So that's the biggest one is to make sure to get that feeling of motion. And all of that happens on their sides, right? It's just like light, and you can do it through light sources. I've done it before where I put, again, just like white cards kind of lining the side, and then turning off their visibility, so when they go past, like it's just like a little bit of like, it would be like reflection off of a building or something. And then the lighting on them right now is pretty frontal. I would want to see it more favored towards one side or the other. And yeah, and then just like a little bit of reflections in the windows if possible, because it just doesn't look like there's windows there yet. But those would be the biggest things I would work on for now, and then we could go through some of the other little detail stuff. But like feeling the motion, getting more shaping on the characters as a default, and it looks like there might be some more shader work in the background. There's like the ground is like I would expect the pavement to be a little bit darker. And maybe just aesthetically, just to get it a little bit more different than the sidewalk. And these trees are a little bit super saturated. Just toning those down. All right, let's hop over here. Okay, so hopping back in here, Aaron, we've got this other image from you. That's right. Sorry, I forgot about that. I think this is looking great. I think it's really, really cool. I think the I'm hesitating on this note because it's basically like there's so much glow in this image and it's great. And I'm looking at the decals in the glasses and if you set up an emission AOV, depending on how the shader's set up, it might isolate those particular elements, and I would just glow those a little bit more. Just
Okay.
and it might even grab the glove too, but just try, because like the way that this is glowing really beautifully, I want to see that. I want to see that in here too. The trick is going to be keeping it a little bit isolated and a little bit small, because you're doing a really good job of crafting things right around the eye, and not to interfere with that.
Yeah, her eyes are actually a separate pass anyway, like just comped over, because I couldn't get, so like there's treatments that I'm doing to the eyes to make them pop a little bit that I can't do if they're under like decals and stuff. So the eyes are just a separate render without the glasses that are comped back over. So I can do the glow. Like that's not a big deal. Am I hitting your glove note the way that you're wanting? Because is it a matter of changing the shader at this point, or are you okay with it?
You know, I was playing around with this file last night in Katana, and I think I'm pretty okay with it. Yeah, I think I'm good with it. I think maybe a little bit more glow on that too will do it, because it is, like I was looking at some reference and I was like, it is kind of constant like that. What I was responding to was that it was starting to feel a little like 2D, and that it was like, but that's just kind of how they look. So I don't really know if there's too much else we can go. I think, but I don't know if anybody else has any notes, but I think overall I think it's looking really great.
Okay. I'll probably work on the animation then for it this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Definitely do that. That's really cool. I forgot about the animation side of this.
I mean, it's not like crazy. But
yeah, no, good stuff. All right, let's hop into Diana's. All right. Okay, so I think this looks a lot better. I really like. I like that we're favoring the orange side now. I think that's working out really well. I think we can get some more shaping into her clothing down in here. I think we can get a little bit more speck in there. It feels a little flat to me. And the other thing, and this is off reference, but I'm wondering if, I'm just trying to play around with this. I'm just going to try and desaturate the background a little bit and just see if we like that better overall. Because I think the saturation on the background is, and this is going to be, like I said, real janky, but I want to get, I think her saturation being a little bit more robust in the background will help her pop a little bit more. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is might be closer to the reference. It was more very strong, but yeah, this look.
And then looking at, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think the eyes, the shaping, the shape of the reflections in the eyes feel a little like, especially this one feels a little bit like, it's like a little jaggedy and a little hard edged. I would just kind of soften it a little bit, or make it more reflection-y and less, like by reflection I mean just kind of like diffuse it a little bit more and make it a little softer. And then if you wanted these harder shapes, I would put them. I wonder. I think that would work better, like in the upper right. Even though the light's coming up from a little bit from behind, I think we can get away with that. Just see if it works. See if you like it. But yeah, this looks great. Otherwise. All right. Let's see who else we got. Aaron. Ashley, Kay. Kay, we have one of yours. Ashley, we don't have any submissions, and
no,
I say that like it's a negative thing. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're like it's doing.
Yeah,
good.
it's fine. I got stuck in a contract, and I'll be back to lighting soon. So.
Great, totally fine. All right, Kay. So we've got 2 submissions from you, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. So this I think is looking great. I really like it. I just think that the nose is a touch bright, and because it's a little bit of like it's just white fur or white coloring on there. I would just tone that down a little bit, and I would. And also if you can increase the radius of this light just a touch, I just want to see that shadow get a little bit softer, and then I think we're good.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
But everything else looks great. Does anybody else have any notes on this one?
No, I really like it. It kind of like takes that set and turns it, like it gives it like this like fantasy like spin to it, which is really neat.
For sure. Yeah, it makes it this is that's totally true. This is the first time I've made it's felt like a very old. It's like changing its time period entirely, which I didn't anticipate.
It's like, you know, looking at New Zealand and then looking at New Zealand through the lens of like the Lord of the Rings.
Right,
Like
totally.
It changes that environment to be something totally different and special.
Totally.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, let's hop over into your monster shot. We're gonna look at the more glowy one because I think that one's working a little bit better. So, yeah, I think I love the fact that they had time to make signs. Like this happens a lot.
Yeah.
that like when I saw it, I was like, that's funny because in my head I thought they were just gonna be like normal, here's the off ramp to the highway or whatever like this is the next thing that's happening and this is the town you're coming upon. But I think that's very funny, and I think the lighting on those feels right because they do, like, if you look at signs, they do have that kind of like blown out element, and then it kind of just fades off as you go up. The one thing about that I'm trying to figure out is like those signs really pop because they're they have like kind of a warmer element where everything else in the scene is kind of cooler. And I'm almost wondering if we shouldn't like add some more warmth to like the window light and kind of the overall city glow, like make that maybe more of like an orangey glow to get the cooler tones of the character to kind of pop forward. What do you guys think of that? Yeah, I think, because I think the character, itself looks great. I think that this spotlight, we're only seeing the still, but I think that's going to work out really well because it has that spotlight look of like it's not just like a consistent spotlight, but you definitely have this like bright hot spot right in the middle and then falling off because that's just kind of the way the optics of them work. The glowy tips of the horns are working well. I like the fill value. The areas that aren't being hit by the spotlight are good because they're dark, so they're mysterious. But also we're getting like these rim values in here to kind of suggest the shape. I think the biggest thing for me would be working on, the glow of the city, and then like taking a pass at the buildings to like the fact that all of these are like kind of a similar color. We can break those up a little bit. The fact that there's like kind of a regular pattern to which lights are on. It's like on, like on, off, like I'm breaking those up a little bit. And then over here, I'm not quite sure what this shape is, but just like,
it's a reflection.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other side.
Yeah. So like the reflection is happening on the core of the building, not just the windows too. So I would change that texture. And then, maybe there's some lights on here that throw a little, like a tiny bit of light on him that just kind of give him like that passing by look as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I just have like two things.
Shoot, yeah.
I don't know if it would make sense to like defocus the sign, like not just the signs, but like just behind him a little bit. With obviously you want people to be able to like read the signs, right, and kind of get in on the joke. But like I think if you defocus them like two, I don't think it would like throw that off. And then just the bottom left corner, I'm not quite sure where you're at. But like his fingers.
Oh yeah.
Something weird with his fingers in the building there. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good call. I missed that. All right, cool. Let's hop through. Yeah, let's hop through some of these other ones. So, all right. So we've got one here. All right, this is the reference. Forgot to put a name on it. Has anyone ever done this before? They try and drag along Photoshop. It's the most nerve-wracking thing I ever do. Because I'll just show you on this one. Like if you start to drag it, and then you pull it off, it like pulls the whole thing off, and then when you go to put it back on, it takes it all the way to the end. It's the worst. I hate it. It gives me anxiety every time. Okay. So this one, like looking at the reference, the thing that I really like about the reference is how glowy, poppy, bright, saturated this neon is, in contrast to some of these darker elements, like the darkness of his pants, of the jacket, of some of the like the parts down here, the lower things, and also we see this a lot in these types of scenes too, which is they're successful when the light isn't just about like the object, like it's not just about this sign. It's also glowing onto the building. It's also kind of like the way that the light, this neon light here, is kind of taking over the fog that's right around it, kind of like ingests, and that is really cool. So I would love to see that one, to see the shot go that way a little bit, where like you're getting some good glowiness on the signs and stuff, but and like they're starting to affect the buildings that are nearby, but we really are missing like the darker values and some of that. Like we really kind of want to see some of that, and then like really punch up the glowiness of things. I'm fine with like the simple resolution on the building and the simple shaders on the building back here, but we do need something more that she's standing on here. Like make it, I don't like it. It just feels like a little bit of a constant color. So I would break that up a little bit with the texture, maybe some gravel or asphalt or tar or whatever roofs are made out of. And it's like it is a little, because it's also a little odd that it's just like a building with just a ledge, which I guess is fine. It doesn't bother me that much, but like just making it feel like a little bit of an interior spot. Now, the question I have is about the sword itself, whether we want to use that as a major interest point in the image. Because right now, like I looked at this initially when I first saw it, and I missed that there was even a sword there. I think that there is there's some things that we can do to highlight it. Get some rim light on it, get some of the pink color on it, really emphasize the edge, kind of tone down what's going on behind it. But if it's not that big of a deal, then I don't want to emphasize it that much. That is more about your feedback on that. Some other things that would help this is a little bit of depth of field blur. I think that everything behind her can go a little bit out of focus, and that will really help us zone in on her. And yeah, those are the major elements for now. But I think this one has some good potential. I love the color that you've picked, but I really want to get into like this combination of dark values broken up by light, saturated glowiness. So that's where we want to go. All right, Holly, we got Jeremy. So I pulled in your old reference from before just so we could see that and kind of A/B that real quick. So one of the things, and I'll actually just bring them together so we can see them at the same time. So one of the things that I really like about your reference is that we're getting some of these cooler purpley elements in here. And I feel like we're missing that a little bit right now. The other thing is that I like to talk about is the hierarchy of dark values. So like the darkest stuff is closest to the camera, and then as we go back, it gets lifted. You've kind of got that, which is nice, but I think we can, I think it just kind of feels like there's two tones of value. There's just like no haze here and then like some haze here. And like I kind of want to step it back into space back over here. Because again, we still have kind of an open area over here to the screen right side. And filling that in with some clouds or something else so we can get another layer stepping back into the space. In terms of the character lighting, it's tough because of her, because I'm looking at her hair and body position, right? So she's rotated away from the light, which is going to block any light from getting to her face, which is fine. But if that's the case, then I want the light to be more rimmy on her. I either want to push the light so that it's showing her face, or I want to push it where it's like this, where it's more showing her profile. Because right now it's just kind of like in the middle. And so I think we want to go towards kind of showing her profile. And in that case, it's more like a rim light that kind of comes around this side of her. And then we can use a little bit of fill light to fill her in this way. And then we can keep her face in the shadow too, and that's totally fine. And the same thing with like the previous shot. The sword gets a little bit lost. So by having the light position back there, we can hit this up with a little bit more rim light. And then I want to soften up these shadows a little bit because they are like, it's interesting because like there's a lot of haze in here, but then these shadows come in as very stark and contrasty. So I would soften those a little bit by increasing the light's radius. And then in terms of colors, I think you can go a little bit, let's just try it. I think a little less yellow and a little more red overall to kind of, because I'm looking at this color and do this in the actual light, not just color tweak, because this isn't the best, but I think the sky color is a little bit more orange yellow like you have, but I think like if you look at the light on the buildings and the surroundings, it is a little bit more red. So I think that's a little bit more appealing to me. And then lastly, we're gonna want to, because like you can see here in the reference, there's some window lights in these windows. I want to see a little bit more life in the buildings, because like this one here has shadow on it and it looks like some reflection, and I'm not really getting a good sense of what this building looks like. That's it. Like you're coming along well. This is a tricky shot. I'm liking the progress on it. And then last up, make sure. Yeah, we've got Kat. Unless I think that's making sure looking there wasn't any additional one. So Kat, let's move this. Okay. So we talked about this a little bit. Kat went back to the animator, and we're seeing more. Wanting to see more fill light. I think the fill light value is pretty good. I like that this light itself is looking good. I think we can even push the brightness there even more. And I like this pose with this amount of bounce. But once we get in here, I want to see, like, I want the light to be less from the side and more underneath. And then, because I really want to feel that transition between the 2 points. And it's okay if there's a little, like, because at this point, the light coming in from the side, like I want it to kind of end before he gets into this pose. Like, and so it's okay if we see a little bit on his back, but from here, I want to see this to this to this. And I want to see light coming up from under him. Because what that'll do is that'll free us up to get, because I guarantee you the animator did some work on the eyes and inside the mouth, and they're definitely going to want to see that. And that lighting setup will be pretty good. The shaping on this knife looks good. I think we can go brighter with the blade. And really make that pop against the dark background there. All right, cool. I think that is it for today, everybody. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a follow-up question to your answer to Kevin's question about tweaking
Yes, I meant
shaders
to talk
and
about
the lighters. Does that happen in a shot-by-shot basis? Like, I would imagine that the values of the shaders have to be identical across the whole film, or is it like shot-by-shot and you want to get it to look right?
So what ends up happening is, stop sharing this. So what ends up happening is the way that, so when you're working on a film, generally there's a look development time period with a character, with a prop, with an asset, with everything. You will, you model that, you put shaders on it, you'll rig it, you'll animate it, and then you put it through some tests, right? Like you give it like a standard default light rig and see how it looks there. Maybe you'll throw it under like what you guys think nighttime lighting might look like, daytime lighting, whatever, maybe it's in a forest, maybe it's in a nightclub, whatever the story tells, and you just do some tests. And then you kind of lock in the global settings from there. After that, you'll start lighting it in certain situations, and then based on the context of those situations, you will have to adjust the shader. It's more likely that, and with the idea of it is that as you add different colored lights, the character will look very different. So adjusting the shader will help create a homogeny across the spectrum. Additionally, like there's times that you want to create different moods in different scenes. So there are times when characters, like say their skin tone will look too glowy, and you want to create like a silhouetted character lighting in a part of one sequence. So then you will take their skin tone and tone it down so that the ambient level isn't too high. It's sometimes on a shot by shot basis. It's more likely to be on a group of shots or a sequence basis. Yeah, because it gets extended out because you want them to kind of maintain a balance from shot to shot, and usually that stuff stays through. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like now we work that way because we're lighting and then we make changes to shader. I was wondering.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So like now, if there are fundamental change, like, and each studio handles it differently about like how much the lighter does versus wanting to send it back. Lots of times it's just based on the schedule. Like lots of times it's like, hey, this adjustment needs to be made on the car paint. And you go to the shading art and they're like, looks, I'm just swamped. Like, would you mind just taking a look at it and seeing if you need my help? And you're like, sure, no problem. And then you're able to just knock it out. But I think the overall, but the overall thing with that is, as a lighting artist, regardless of the size of the studio, you are expected to have some understanding and ability to adjust shaders on the fly. And lots of times that those type of look adjustment stuffs can happen in the comp too with the AOVs, like more spec, less spec, more reflection. You can adjust that in the comp as well. But and then it's up to you to determine the best course of action to hitting the note. So, yeah. All right, cool. That was a good question though, Kevin, and thank you, Diana, for following up on that. All right, we're gonna break for the day. Let me know if you guys need anything, and I will talk to you all very soon. All right, happy lighting, everybody. See ya. Bye. Have a good day.